What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael Murphy, and I'm joined today by my second co-host, who is
Gunnar.Davis.
And this is the Trident Talk. So today, we figured we were going to go ahead and kind of change things up a little bit. You know, we've been talking about a lot of miscellaneous topics. You know, we've been talking about buying houses. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about that. And we want to go ahead and take a change of pace today. We wanted to kind of slow things down a little bit while still providing a lot of information. So here at Berkshire Hathaway, we're actually given the privilege of being bestowed upon monthly statistics for our market. Now, our statistics are pulled from the most accurate MLS in our area. They are reliable, and they are quite honestly fascinating to a nerd like myself who just loves working with numbers.
Oh yeah, and definitely when they're new every month.
Oh yeah, it's just
can't
exciting.
wait to get our hands onto them.
Can't wait to see how the market has changed, especially in this just flat out exotic market that we've been a part of.
Yeah, as we go through, it's going to see just how crazy it is, like, because a lot of it's just year to year, like comparing from last year, I should say, and it's just outstanding at where we've gone.
Exactly.
Just from then and now, just in a year.
Exactly.
So,
it's insane. Like, even like the past couple of months, like, you know, I think it was back in July, like the average sale price in St. Charles County specifically was what, $250,000, and nowadays, like, it's
pushing 290,
290.
right?
I think there were like projections for by the end of 2020 of 300,000 or something like that.
I think I have it right here, actually. Hold on.
The anticipation is killing me, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh gosh, I gotta find it now.
That's how nerdy we are. We love numbers, okay?
So average selling price of just wait a second.
And that's an important distinction. We are focusing tonight.
So are you wanting to do St. Charles?
Yes.
City?
If we can do city, let's get even more specific.
So city
Not
is
St. Charles County, St. Charles City.
So city just by itself is of November 2020 is 267,198.
Okay.
But that's just
St. Charles City, not the county specifically.
Which is where we're located.
Exactly. That's our focus.
But we're not going to say it's St. Charles County yet because we'll save that when we get into it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So with that, that is an important disclosure. All of our stats tonight are going to be focused on St. Charles County specifically. This includes quite a few cities.
17, I think.
17 cities, I think
about to read off.
So if you live in any of the following cities, we are talking about you. Gunnar?
So we got St. Charles, obviously, and then St. Peter's, Wentzville, O'Fallon, Lake St. Louis, Cotterville, Walden Spring, Dardine Prairie, Augusta, Defiance, New Melly, St. Paul, go for it,
Portage de Sioux or something like that. I know I'm botching that name.
West Alton, Flint Hill, Josephville, and Weldon Spring Height.
Dang, we extend all the way to Weldon. Well, not Weldon Springs. Okay, whatever.
Dude, you should see this. I have
it's an intense list.
This like shape of this, it's so weird because it follows the Missouri River.
Mm-hmm.
Our line does, like, all the way till the Illinois line, it looks like, honestly.
Yeah, so St. Charles County, for reference and position, if you're somewhere else in Missouri, it extends. It's the easternmost county, just slightly above St. Louis County. So our borders are, well, quite honestly, the state of Illinois, as well as the Missouri. Well, actually, both the Missouri and Mississippi River, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, that's true. When you get closer to the like right where we are, like Orchard Farm is like right in the middle of Mississippi, Missouri, and that's where our lines are.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we'll be able to kind of put a picture up there for you guys,
Right?
because how Michael described it looks like an elephant.
I hope you got on there, Josh. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here really awkwardly. Good. Okay.
That elephant with it looks like its trunk's like going up.
It's an elephant, but like the trunk's all wonky. But that's enough about the geography lesson and all that junk. You're here for the numbers. You're here for the banter, and you're here for the Trident Talk. So
we can kind of describe how, like, what we're reading off right now. So this is, like how he said, it's our market report. We get it from Berkshire Hathaway. They have it through our MLS system. And the nice thing about this is that we can do pretty much any city, any county in Missouri. Am I correct?
Yeah, so this entire thing is all over St. Charles County. I know you referenced something from St. Charles City specifically. We can go even more specific than that. If you want, I think we can go down to like even a specific house, for crying out loud.
It's crazy.
It's fantastic.
So if any of you guys are listening and want your own, hit us up. We can get you your own email to you monthly. And it's just crazy all the things we'll see, and we'll explain what it's showing and talk about just what it can do for you, just being knowledgeable and getting into this. Where I'm hoping this doesn't scare you away from either wanting to buy or sell, because this is supposed to help you. This is supposed to kind of, get you more educated, and you want to be more educated about what you're going to do, especially one of the biggest things you're ever going to do in your life. So
exactly. This is not a matter of persuasion. This is a matter of information. So with that, Gunnar, kick us off.
I get into it. So I'm just going to strive, even though some of the things aren't going to be very useful, I'm just going to go through it real quick. So the first page we have is just introducing you to what it is and has our info on it. But now, after you get past that point, we're getting to some of the visual aspects of our, the little, hopefully we'll be able to show you as we go through. We're going to start off with some pie charts, which very simple, very easy to see. It's very nice to look at just because you can understand how the portions work. But we're starting off with our number of sales. So like I said, we're going from November of 2019 of November of 2020 because that's the most recent stats we have. So going off number of sales, we're up a whopping almost 18% from November of last year to November of this year.
Exactly. 17.74% increase the number of sales.
Which, if you look right next to it, new listings is down. Obviously, not even a percent down, but think about that.
That's
new listings.
still down.
Yeah, just new listings. Let's just say if it was the same, just because we're only one listing difference. Let's say if we're just the same listings. Almost 18% more sales have happened with the same amount of listings.
So what we have to ask then is, what does that mean? That means that we have inventory that is decreasing at a faster rate now.
And we're getting it.
So we have less listings, and we have those less listings selling faster. So what does that mean? Well, I mean, you can compare that with the next stat that we have coming up with, which is average days on market, which is down a whopping 30.5%.
Gosh, that's crazy.
So in November of 2019, the average days on market for a property was 36 days. That's from the time that it hit the market to the day that it closed. Okay, that the keys transferred hands. Okay, it's down from 36 to 25, 11 days. That's a humongous difference. That's over the average residential sale contract inspection period.
That's insane. And so there's some things that go into that could be kind of misinterpreted, but 25 is just really just crazy low.
That's insane. Because I mean, you figure if you finance a house, which what is it, like not 80 to 90% of transactions are financed. You see that on average, like especially right now, like if we were to bring Danny in, he would say, he needs at least 25 days to get an appraiser out there, So that's insane.
Yeah, so a house could be under contract and getting going before even appraisers can get to a property. So that's just outstanding. Yeah. Our market's just going so fast. So should we explain a little bit what days on market are before we kind of move on?
I mean, we can dig into that a little bit. We can give it a brief crash course.
So, crash course on days on market. So, the way days on market works, especially with our MERA system, so there's something you've probably heard of it, especially if you've looked at homes. It's called an active. The home can be active when it's ready to sell. Gosh, words. And it's on the market, and you can go look at it and do everything, put offers on it, etc. So, the day it comes off the market, as in hits pending, someone has accepted a contract, or so there's a finicky thing, active under contract, which we can get into another day, but that's a whole nother thing. But once it goes into that pending status, it's considered off the market. So that day is on market, so it takes an average 25, which honestly I think is lower because active under contract kind of messes with that a little bit, but that, again, another thing for another day.
You'll see some properties that don't even hit the pending status. They'll just be active under contract, sold. And so that, it comes down to the listing agent and how they organize it and how they, in the MLS, I mean, and what status they have it in, to where that kind of sways numbers one way or another. So if, for instance, if everyone did just active under contract and then sold, the numbers would be higher, right?
Right.
As opposed to active, pending, closed.
Yeah, because the day stops right when it hits pending, which would be so much. It would probably reduce that number quite a bit,
further.
But we can't know because it's just based off the system.
Because this is a mixture of, we don't get one sway or the other. We don't get a biased opinion on this. This is just straight numbers from our system.
Right. So moving down the page, we're going down to the other half. So before we get into these, we wanted to kind of explain a little bit because some people just might not understand this, or hopefully we can kind of explain it a little better for your own understanding. But we're going to talk about the difference between a median and an average, which Mike can kind of explain for you. So
median and average are two different ways to compare numbers. So if you have a list of numbers, say 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8 or something like that. I don't know. Pulling numbers out of my butt. A median would be if you were to take that list and get rid of each extremity all the way down to a single number. So for instance, if we were to take the list 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8, and we were to take those 5 numbers, we get rid of the 1, we get rid of 1, we get rid of the 8, we get rid of the 2, get rid of the 7, we're left with 5 in the middle. Okay, that's the median, as opposed to an average, where if we take the same list 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8, we add that up, that's 23.
You did that fast.
Yes. 8 plus 7 is 15, 15 plus 5, 20, double checking my math, yeah, 23, okay, so if you take 23 and then divide that by 5, because you divide it by how many numbers are in the list, okay, so it's 23 divided by 5, that's just under 5, it's like 4.3 if I'm thinking correctly, maybe 4.4 or something like that, okay,
It could be.
I'm not a
we'll
calculator.
Hopefully on our social medias, we should put an
We'll
example.
correct
We
it.
could do that. We can put an example on our social medias. How about that?
Welcome to Math 101.
Yeah, that's it. We'll teach you some math in our real estate
podcast.
social medias.
Welcome
That's
to the
what-
Trident Talk, where we not teach mathematics.
Oh gosh.
So that's the difference between a median and an average. A median in our list would be 5, whereas the average is about 4.4, whatever the heck the decimal comes out to be. So taking that concept, we're going to then apply that to our market statistics. So for instance, the first number we have is the median sales price, which is up 12.8%. Again, taking a list of the sale prices and whatever's in the middle, whatever it was in 2019, it is up almost 13%. That's a $100,000 house now being $113,000.
Yeah, good you saying that. I was just gonna make sure reference that this is what's happened in a year. So it's 12.8% up from a year from November of this year. So back in November of 2019, just for reference. I just want to make sure we get that out there.
An important, I guess something that's kind of worth putting out there, because we keep comparing numbers and things like that, and we say these are crazy numbers and stuff like that. To put that into perspective, the average, or in a usual market, you would look at maybe an increase of 2 to 4%, maybe 3%. Okay, so the fact that we're up almost 13% is an extravaganza.
Crazy.
It is insanity.
And when we get our graphs, because
Wait till we get to the graphs.
But you'll be able to see how, because you can see that gradual going up, but then when it hits 2020, whoop,
Yeah.
it just climbs. So you want to continue with the numbers?
Sure. So the next statistic that we have is the average sale price. So not median, but average. Again, you would typically see like maybe a 3 to 5% increase in this. You're looking at over a 16% increase in the average sale price.
That's crazy.
Again, that's taking $100,000 and making it $116,000. It's just absolutely ludicrous. Okay. So now we're going to take those sales prices and we're going to compare them with list prices. What's the difference? So a list price is what a property goes onto the market at. Okay. That's as opposed to a sales price, which is what the final price for the property ends up being. So I might list a property for $100,000, but it could sell, especially in today's market, at $115,000. So that's the difference. So the average, the median list price, as opposed to the sale price, which is a 12.8% increase, is actually 10.64% increase. So that's still an insane increase. And then you see a similar trend with the average list price, which is 14.1%.
Which is kind of ironic because the list price is up, but like that 10 and 14. But it's funny, the sell price is actually gone up higher.
Well, we're actually going to get back to that later in this discussion, Gunnar, the comparison between list pricing and sell pricing. But continuing on with our information and our trends, we've got a humongous chart, this is a table here, which we're only going to hit a couple of these because it would just be ludicrous to go through every single individual number.
Yeah, right. It's more of this so if you can see it right now, it's more just for people that are more understanding of tables, because some people like how a table, gosh, I keep
You like the actual
changing
numbers
it.
in a table as opposed to a
So
chart.
a chart graph or something like a visually appealing. But yeah, there's not really the only thing I want to hit on this chart specifically is how crazy. So as we were talking about median and average, there's a number on here that really stands out to me.
I'm looking at the one you're looking at right now, man.
Well, so what I'm wanting to talk about is that median days on market is how it says 9. So think about that. So how Michael was describing to you, You take a list of numbers and you take that middle one. So let's say our average days on market is 25, but our median is 9. So what that's saying is a lot of days on market are leaning towards the left, which is crazy. Things are going off the market more so towards 9. So 9 or less are more towards that direction, which
So what is
9 days.
So the question is, what does that look like? And I'll tell you what that looks like. That's quite literally a property that hits the market, and the same day that it hits the market, it immediately goes into the pending status. So let's say it hits the market on a Monday. God forbid you put a property on the market on Monday.
It could be gone within the next. It could
put
be
it on
just
Monday,
gone before the next Monday.
You will have an accepted contract signed that night. That's what it says. 0 days on the market. It is on and off before you can say, hey, let's go look at it. That's how fast our market is moving.
That's just crazy. I can't even think, because that's just more. Most of the houses, median wise, are going within a week, and probably less than that if it wants to be the median. There must be so many to the left following it. But
exactly.
Were you looking at something else on this chart?
So I was looking at the average days on market, so that's pretty much what I was looking at, median and average days on market. But another thing I kind of wanted to hit was selling price. So for the entirety of St. Charles County, and these are stats as of November.
Oh yeah, because we were going to get back to this.
Yeah, we wanted to talk.
This is what we're waiting, because so like how we said, St. Charles if I can get to it, as we were saying, St. Charles City was a whopping 267,198.
Yeah. So if you want to take that, so back in 2019, the average selling price for a property was $244,823. Now, take that number and increase it by 16.04%, and you get the new average selling price in St. Charles County of $284,094.
Within a year.
Within a year, you've appreciated 16.04%. That's
$40,000 on that, on specifically that right there. That's $40,000. That's insane.
It's insane. It's absolutely ludicrous. And it goes to show you, whether you're an investor or a home buyer that's just collecting equity, it's a fantastic time to be in the market, and that over the course of time, appreciation pays off. Even in a just absolutely ludicrous market like this.
So like how we said, it's better to buy than rent.
This is the perfect example. This is
right here.
This is like the cream of the crop. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah,
right
proof
here.
defeats evidence.
Evidence defeats
evidence.
doubt.
Why did I just say that the other way around?
As you're paying it off, like let's say you go buy a home, as you're paying that off, you're gaining that equity on top of that appreciation.
Yes, sir.
Right. So let's say if you want to go buy a new home, you have whatever you've paid on this house ready for that. Even if let's say you don't even want to spend all that equity on the down payment, you just got cash that you've been
That's $40,000 that you can cash out right there.
Right. That's crazy. That's just crazy to me.
It's absolutely insane. But another number I kind of want to hit on this, which we kind of trickled at a little bit, and we're not going to get to the full effect of it just yet, but list versus sell price ratio. What does that mean? That means it's the relationship between the listing price, the original listing price, and what the property actually sells at. Back in 2019, in November, that ratio was 99.1%. So what does that mean? So if you have a $100,000 property that you list at $100,000, the property would, on average, sell at $99,100. Okay, so 99.1% of the list price.
If we're comparing to $100,000.
Exactly. If this is all in an example.
Technically, yeah.
Okay. To put that into perspective, what it is now in November of 2020, or well, what it was in November of 2020, excuse me, is 100.8%. What does that mean? That means if you ask for $100,000 for a property, you're on average going to get more. $800 more to be specific.
And there's a graph we have that can kind of show that a little better how that's going.
And we'll tinker with that. And another key thing that I really want to get out of the way before someone legally sues us and like, oh, they said yes. Well, no, these are all on average. None of this is guaranteed. These are just what the numbers show. On average, this is what you will see.
Yeah, what's happening in our market.
Exactly.
For example, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Legally, none of this is guaranteed. This is just what the numbers show to back us up.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think, do you have any other numbers from that data table that you need to, that you want to point out specifically?
I love all the numbers, but we need to keep moving.
Well, now we're going to get into the graphs, which we can kind of fly through a little bit more, and it's kind of, there's something that we've talked about in past podcasts that you can really see with these that we weren't able to show you guys before. So we're getting to this first graph here that's really showing us new listings, like how much new listings we get each month. So if you see how, you can see kind of a trend, it goes up, then back down, and up and back down. Well, there's a reason for that. So in past podcasts, how we said winter is a slower time, well, this is a perfect example. New listings go so far down in the winter. That's where those dips are the winter. Winter times, I should say. Just people, it's getting to the holidays, not wanting to list. Or I guess there's still buyers, but you can't really buy when there's no listings.
Yeah, you can't buy if there's nothing to buy.
Yeah, so it's just, so there are because of that, there are advantages of listing. So never think you can't list when it's the winter. It's just, that's just statistically people want to.
Buyers.
Right, people want to do more. People are up and at it. Is that how you say it? Up and at it.
Up and at 'em.
When it's up and at 'em.
There you go.
When it's warmer and not dark at 4 to 5 o'clock.
Don't get me started on it.
That's just
it makes the day just so slow. Well, not even slow. It's just
Not
like
just
you
slow, it
compress
just-
the entire day and you just get lazy earlier.
you want to go to bed at like 9 because it feels like it's
Yeah.
later.
It feels like it's midnight at that point.
Yeah. So as you can see, just new listings are just low during the winter months, and we're getting towards November, and you can see it's starting to go down. But
Well, what's interesting about this market is that you see that as opposed to sharp spikes, it's almost more elongated, and it's kind of not flat per se, but it's a consistent increase that isn't sharply dropping off like you would typically see by, November or wherever it is on the screen.
November.
I'm assuming November's right here, so humor me if it's completely wrong. But November and December, you typically see a harder drop off, as opposed to right now. I mean, it's just something you don't see. But
right. And so like on this graph specifically, in November it looks like it's going down, but that's not common for some reason. Our market, which you'll kind of see later, it doesn't just drop off like it usually does for winter, as like this next graph perfectly explains. So sold price, which I mean it kind of explains, kind of doesn't. So the sold price for reference usually goes down, which you'll see in another graph in a second. But right now we see sold prices, and in November they just keep going up. There's no dip down. So like you can kind of see. I wish I can kind of mark. I can't really mark it here. But
we need like a PowerPoint presentation or like a whiteboard for this
well, yeah,
stuff.
and I can just like point out everything.
Yeah.
But
One of those clickers.
you can kind of see the winter months in this graph. It's very, very slight, but you can see the dips down. Can you see those, Michael?
Yeah,
Like
I'm
the
looking at them right now. They're
dip
right up
downs,
there.
They're just going. Oh yeah, they're right.
Yeah, they see them right there.
They're right there. But there's like little dips. But if you see,
Sorry, Josh, we're creating so much work for you.
yeah, it's just like. But as you see on our very far right here, it doesn't appear to be going down. Next month when we have new stats and we have our next episode of the we had to come up with a
Statistical
name.
analysis.
Sorry, yeah, statistical analysis.
Could not have made a nerdier name if I tried.
We'll kind of see if it starts going down, but right now it does not look like it's going down, which is kind of weird. Usually
it's
it goes
worrisome.
down, but
No,
it's the market we're in. We just got to get used to it, and
Yep.
it'll change eventually, like it
the
always
market
does.
will
but
mellow out, but
right now it
theoretically,
doesn't look like it's slowing down.
yeah,
So
we're still gung ho at this point.
So that's just kind of that's specifically St. Charles County. So as we were saying, the average price is towards the 280,000 mark. You can kind of see where it is if you lined it up and did the dots and all the way across.
Did all the junk.
But
the next graph we want to get into is one we kind of hinted at and kind of touched on a little bit. This is what we were talking about: sales versus list price. So on average, or in a typical market, you would see buyers having the power to take a list price and shoot under it. So again, if we want to use the $100,000 house example, $100,000 is what the property might be listed at. As a buyer, you might offer $90,000.
just to negotiate a little bit.
Just for negotiation's sake, exactly. Now, the problem, or what, not even a problem, but what you're seeing with this market especially, is that graph. You see that there are two distinct lines on this graph. One of them being slightly higher than the other, obviously. The higher one is the list price. The lower one is the sold price. Okay. Now, if you follow the graph all the way up to more current times, pushing the winter months of 2020, what you'll see is that the lines get closer and closer and closer to the point that they actually cross. What does that mean? First and foremost, that's huge. That means that if you have once the the line that was once below crosses, that means that the list price is actually below the actual sale price. That means that if you have a $100,000 house, you are going, on average, you would get more than $100,000 for it.
So yeah, it's just people are bidding higher just because it's low inventory and they just really want it.
Every property I have shown in the past, well, at this point, past couple months, but especially in this past month, we have gone to bidding wars with, and it's crazy to say this, but in this market, you won't get a property less than list price.
It's
so
more of a
good.
rare occurrence, especially with the area we're in. We're more used to like the homes. I would say, I'll just save it because it tells us kind of what our area deals with the prices. We can just we'll keep going on. We'll kind of explain that in a second.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing a little bit. So let's continue on. This graph, I don't know about you. This graph kind of goes off the last graph we saw. So those two bottom lines are what we were seeing before, because asking price, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing as listing price. I mean,
Yeah.
just different terminology.
Yeah.
But all this graph is really just saying, I mean, it's kind of funny, I should say,
And
that
I was
dotted
gonna say,
line
this
at
one
the
kind of
top.
explains itself if you look at it. Graph. So this graph, actually, go ahead. You were explaining. Sorry.
Oh, well, the only thing I want to say about this one is just saying that unsold price, that very top line, it's just, you can see there's
Notice
a
the gap.
trend. Yeah, there's a trend of the unsold. When there's a property unsold, a lot of times, well, there's two main reasons, either overpriced or
Marketing.
it could be market. Well, or is there something wrong with that, obviously?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. That's.
Well, it's so like in this case, this home right here, like these homes, I should say, that are unsold. It's just that people don't tend to get homes that are higher up, I should say. Is that a good term?
How I would assess this is that the higher line is properties that are just overpriced, pretty much. And what you're seeing is, and yes, these are higher quality. If you look at the graph in the axes, you're looking at anything above $300,000 at this point. Whereas the average sale price is, again, gradually increasing. But, you're looking at anywhere between 2 to 2.5, or $200,000 to $250,000. So, I mean, it's just, I think it's a matter of two things. It's either overpriced properties, like a $250,000 that a listing agent's getting cocky about and trying to sell at $350,000, or it's kind of like you were saying, there's just something astronomically wrong with the property, and it's.
Well, there's also so I feel like this mainly is like how you're saying, it's overpriced, like the 280 to the 350 probably. It's overpriced for what it is. But there's also those that are like, let's say, 500,000 up. Those take just in general longer to sell.
Yeah.
So that's probably pushing that up too. So I mean, it's not really a need to know kind of graph. It's just nice to see it and kind of get a feel of what's not selling. So what I was we're gonna go to this next what do you call this, bar graph? What do you call it, bar graph?
This is a bar graph.
Yeah. So we're going to this bar graph, kind of some foreshadowing. So we're talking about what we're used to in this area, St. Charles County, I should say. Not city. We are in St. Charles City. That's where we're located, but we work St. Charles County as a whole. So as you're looking here, it was kind of crazy. I was kind of thinking, so the majority of our houses around here sell from $200 to $299 and $300 to $499. So it just surprises me that so there's 200, our normal houses sell around $200 to $299 or $300 to $499. That's what the majority of our homes around here in St. Charles County are priced. But what surprises me is, I thought more homes around here would be $200 to $299, but there are more $300 to $499.
So if you compare the two, so the biggest bulk of properties are anywhere between the $200,000 to $500,000 price range. That's what this graph is showing pretty much. But if you take the two groups that we're using, the 200 to 300 and then the 300 to 500,000, you actually see more properties in that 300 to 500,000 price range, which is pretty interesting.
Which I kind of, I would want to see. I would want to see it split 300 to 400 and then 400 to 500.
I
feel like the 3 and 400 would be higher.
That's what I would think as well.
That's what I would assume.
Because you're taking the 200 to 300 and then you're doing 300 to 500. So you're doing 100 and then you're doing 200 in comparison. So I think, like you were saying, that's how you would see it divided up. You would see more so in the 300 to 400 than the 400 to 500, but overall you'd still see more in the 200 to 300.
Yeah, it just surprised me a little bit because I thought in our area was a little more towards 299, which isn't false. There's still a lot in there.
False.
Which then again, that's a $100,000 range when 300, 500 is obviously a $200,000 range. So
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of skewed. It's not how I would organize the graph. But can't complain. It's free.
Yep.
Anyway.
Papa Buffett gave it to us. So
Papa Buffett
can't complain.
From the man himself.
So going to our next bar graph. So this is it's a little interesting. So I mean, it's just showing us. It's just kind of splitting up those. What we just saw, like there's a lot of homes in the 200, 299, 340, 99, and so on throughout the whole bar graph. It's kind of showing us split up in those categories what they were selling for the last 12 to 24 months to the last 12 months.
Well, what's interesting about this graph as you look at it is that this is talking about average sale price per square foot. What does that mean? Well, when you look at a property and you're trying to appraise it, a very easy way to calculate what a property might be worth is taking the price per square foot and you multiply by however big the property is. What this graph does, if it's not there, is you're taking the price per square foot, which is the up axis, which is 0, 50, 100, and so forth. So, and you're taking that and comparing it to the average sale price of the property. So, for instance, if you have a property like we'll use the second one because the first one's weird. If you have a property that's anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 in value, the average price per square foot is going to be about $125. And you can kind of follow that trend consistently all the way up to $1 million listings, where you're looking at, again, comparing the 12 to 24 months, which are pretty similar, but one trend you're going to notice consistently is the slightly darker one is taller every single time, minus the first one. Especially more so in the $1 million listings and above.
Right.
So you're looking at, what is that? I would say like 250 to almost 300, like a $50 difference per square foot.
Yeah, and this doesn't look very like huge on this paper, but if you think of it, it's per square foot. So let's use a 299. So let's say this is probably like 130. Oh no, there's probably like 140 in this, and then from the previous 12 months, it's probably like 145. So even though it's a $5 difference, $5 per square foot. What do you think the average square foot is?
Let's say you have a 2,000 square.
Yeah, 2,000. That's good.
Property.
That's a good estimate.
So let's say you take 2,000. I mean, I don't know why I'm doing this. And you said $5 difference.
Yeah.
You know, that's a $10,000 difference in the sale price. Okay.
Like that could be make it or break kind of thing.
Exactly, and that's a $2,000 square foot. That's not including like a multi-million-dollar listing that has 10,000 square feet or something like that. In that case, you're looking at 50,000, 60, even what it was a difference of what $50, and then you do 10,000 square feet. That's $50,000. Or excuse me, no, math, right? Cut that.
What is it? What was the math you were just trying to do? You're just trying to do math.
Trying to do 50 times 10,000. That's not 500,000.
Why are you getting 10,000? Where are you getting 10,000 from?
10,000 square feet.
Oh.
Yeah, 500,000. Really? Wow. Oh yeah, you're up in the multi-million-dollar range. So I mean, yeah.
Square footage matters, dude.
Square footage and price per square foot matters.
You don't think that's huge, but that can be
makes or breaks.
Huge. That's the 40,000 difference in a year.
Exactly. That's exactly
that $40,000 add-on.
That's
but
break it down.
Yeah, this next graph. Oh my gosh.
This graph is what keeps me up at night.
Yeah, it's just
this
crazy.
Haunts me.
So you want to kind of explain this a little bit? It's just
okay. So
it's killing me.
When we talk about months of inventory, or when we talk about inventory in general, we usually divide it up into months of inventory. What does that mean? That means if we were to not get any listings, like everyone that wanted to sell their house just decided to stop, and we only had the listings that we had currently on the market, how long would we be able to sell based on the average days on market? What you'll see in the graph is there's a consistent trend over the course of time, minus this year. You see record lows. And what does that mean? You're looking at, I think we're actually below 1 month.
Yeah, we're
of
under
inventory.
a month of inventory.
What does that mean? That means if we were to go from now until the new year, probably about the time of the new year, maybe early January, there would not be a single house on the market.
We would be out of inventory.
Out of inventory.
Nothing to sell.
Nothing. Just zip.
That would be so quick.
That would be horrifying to think about.
That's crazy to think about it. Like, I mean, it might not seem so crazy because I mean, homes are selling fast, but like that's how little of inventory we have right now. It's just.
Which is why you see such a dramatic increase in sale price, and that's one of the things I really want to hit. We keep talking about these, numbers that seem so individual. But they aren't. Every one of these graphs affects another graph. It affects every other graph in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's the sale price versus average days on market, whether it's the list price and sale price, whether it's the list to sale price ratio and the month supply of inventory. All of these coincide together. This isn't like us throwing a bunch of random numbers at you. This is all building to a greater picture of the crazy market that we're in.
Yeah, I just can't get over that month. Like, there's like
month of inventory less
astounds
than
me, man.
That's
I don't know.
insanity to me. But we're gonna kind of
These next graphs are kind of hard to
look
watch,
at.
but yeah, it's I don't know, it's kind of weird.
It's kind of bringing them together, if you would, in
Yeah.
a very chaotic way.
Good way to say it. I mean, it's a bunch on this, and I mean, you can just see so like this average days on market, you can see that in the winter months it gets higher up, but then when summer comes around it gets lower because people are buying quicker, and that's just.
Well, what you're going to see, because we're comparing the average sale price in the days versus the average days on market, right? And what you're going to see is a almost perfect inverted ratio. So the more days on market there are, the lower the price is going to be, pretty much. And
Exactly,
you see that,
that's
like,
a good way to say it.
especially pushing your way into 2020. Funny enough, you see record low.
Look at that,
sale
dude.
prices.
It's at the bottom. That's
Yeah.
at 25. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
The average
exactly.
days on market is like 24, I think.
Exactly.
And
So
that
you're
goes
looking,
all the way down to 25.
yeah, record low days on market and record high sale prices. So excuse me if I missaid that, but yeah, again, proof's in the pudding here with the numbers, ladies and gentlemen. It's a perfectly inverted ratio that is going to new extremes, and I mean, we see it like there's one time where we hit 25 days on market back in about July of 2018. But notice how quickly that spiked back up. And now look at where we are. We have broken the graph at this point.
And this is what I kind of want to. So next time when the December stats come out, I kind of want to see. So you see how the November is still kind of pushing up there. So I wonder if it'll start coming down in December. I would think it would, but in this
I don't
market,
know.
anything's possible,
gonna say,
honestly. So we'll just need to keep track of that, because you can see like usually how it comes up, then down, then up and down. That looks like it's still kind of chilling.
It could either like plateau, or it could go on the rise, or it could collapse. We don't know.
So we just
I don't
got
use the word
need to
collapse. It
check
could
on
drop.
that.
That collapse is kind of
Collapse.
that's kind of an extreme word. We've
Yeah,
already had
especially with the market we're in.
we've already had a market collapse this year. Let's not have another
Yeah,
one.
let's not have another one. But moving on. So this is. So I'm pretty sure the last.
This is the last thing we got.
graph,
Bringing
but
it all together.
the most hectic one.
This is good luck interpreting this.
Yeah, this is just crazy.
So what are we looking at here? We're looking at the month supply of inventory. We're comparing that to the number of months.
You know what's funny? You
Or,
see
well, months and units.
the above 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
There's none.
Jesus.
See, that's funny.
Nothing. Just nothing.
Which in 2009, 2010, you would definitely see that. But in this market, just even the past few years, you would not see that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a ludicrous number to look at. And it's a complicated number. It's something we could spend, honestly, probably a good 30 minutes on. So.
Right.
But I mean, that's the cream of the crop with what we've got for November of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have stuck through this ride of a market, congratulations on making it this far. We've got no idea. Well, I mean, we have a slight idea as to where it's gonna go, but anything can happen, and that's the thing about it.
So if you're thinking of buying, selling, everything's just always going to be going up. I shouldn't say everything appreciates.
Yeah,
that's a
don't
bad
say
way
that.
to say it. But we had a whole I shouldn't say seminar, a whole meeting about what it looks like trends are going. So everything just from the looks of it is going to be going up still. So just if you're then thinking about it, have questions, just let us know. We're here to help you, and we can even walk these stats through you in person if need be. If you are serious about, you're interested in wanting to know more about it and have been debating it for some time, just have been scared with everything going on. We understand, we get it. People are going through it, and just with this time, we're wanting to help.
So I do want to put something out there. We keep saying, this is a hectic, this is a ludicrous market. Not in a bad way. This is a fantastic market to be a part of in terms of whether you're listing and you want to sell your house. You're going to get way more than you probably, I don't want to say than you anticipate, but you're going to get way more than you would on average.
Yeah, you probably think.
Okay?
And then you also, even if, like, let's say you're buying, you're probably going to afford way more than, gosh, my hand just freaked out. But you're probably going to be able to afford way more than you would think you could.
Because we have
interest rates.
Interest rates are so low.
Yeah.
We talked about that in the past. Again, bringing it all together. What is it? I had a client the other day who was talking about getting a 2.1% interest rate, for crying out loud. Again, it's based on circumstances. But, you take that and compare that to, what was it, a couple of years ago?
Like 4
or 5%, or $800. We talked about this in our video on loans and stuff like that. like $800 is equivalent to like what, $160,000 or something like that for property. Take that and increase that margin to where for $800 in rent could equal more. I don't have the exact number, so I'm not going to shoot anything out there, but as opposed to 160, you could get more than that in
And
property
then,
value.
like, I know we were talking about waiting and trying to make sure our clients know that waiting even, what is it, like 3 months could raise it up like, what was it, extremely, like a lot, which you wouldn't think it would, but interest rates just going up 1% can make a bit difference between being able to afford a house and not. So just
So what was the cost of waiting?
never be afraid. Always just ask your realtor, ask us, let us know how we can help, and we're willing to help.
Yeah, and if you're interested on the cost of waiting numbers, just know that every year every number of months, every 6 months, every year you wait, let's just say it's quite a margin for how much money you could lose if the interest rate were to go back up at a steady rate.
So
Take advantage of the interest rates while they're low. Take advantage of sale prices while they're high. This is a great market to be a part of. It's chaotic, it's fast-paced, but it's fun.
yeah, and just let us know if you want us to send you these stats. Knowing these stats will not hurt anything. It would just make it so much. It just makes you more knowledgeable.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, exactly. So just go through, make sure I'm having mouse out and not using it. So just know your stuff and always think. So even if you're so let's go back to the renting thing, because I know me and my broker talked about it just today. So when you're renting, you might think you're not ready. It's like a month or two until your lease is up, but it's the time to be looking. Just think about, like, because it takes some time to actually be able to move into a house and get the contract through.
Well,
So it's just...
What is it that Terry says? It's like, if you're thinking about moving in the next 6 months, now's the time to start.
Exactly. You just need to get on it now.
Well, one thing, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was like, I enjoy living in an apartment because, they take care of landscaping, they do all these things, and, like, there are properties out there that you can buy that do that. They typically have association fees, obviously, but that's the same thing as what you would be paying to an apartment complex. They're called villas.
Exactly.
Okay? Or villas, condominium complexes, But as opposed to just burning a hole in your pocket, which is all rent does, sorry if you think otherwise, that the numbers just don't support your claim. As opposed to that, you build equity. It's an investment. That's the thing. Homes are an investment. It's the largest investment you will ever make, hands down. So you're taking that hole in your pocket, and not only are you patching it up, but you're filling your pocket with equity.
Right.
It's a fabulous thing to do. So don't ever think like, I just don't like doing landscaping, or I don't like this,
We can always work around it.
Exactly.
Don't hesitate.
Exactly. So,
I mean, we've gotten through our market report, a lot of numbers thrown at you, but just remember, we can always make your own, send it to you monthly. But
and this is all of St. Charles County. If you want something specific to your city or something like that, or even your own house, we can get information sent your way. Always ask yourself, what do you think you can get for your house? And we'll tell you, yes, no, or, boy, you were way off.
Right. So, I don't know. We can, hopefully this starts a new monthly trend. We will start posting more and see how the just St. Charles County goes. Yeah, because we're doing specifically St. Charles County, around our area, how it goes up, down, whatever it goes. But hopefully you can take this adventure with us, and we can
It's gonna be an exciting.
we can learn together. Yeah, exactly.
I'm super excited to see where the market goes.
Do you have any last thought? Anything good for the group, I should say?
Go to the group, honestly. I think I got it out there with my conversation when we're talking about rent versus buying. Don't be scared by the numbers. The numbers are kind of just icing on the cake for you guys.
They're just meant to help.
They're meant to help. Honestly, we're the ones that sit here and interpret them. We're the ones that say, okay, it's a good time to sell versus it's a good time to not sell. Okay.
So you can always leave that to us, but we always our job is to educate you and help you through the
Precisely. It's an
through
excellent
the
way
process.
of putting it.
So
But my name is Michael Murphy, joined by
Gunnar Davis.
Thank you for joining us for the Trident Talk. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.